Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be talking about something that I get asked a lot in the comments, which is how long should a self-published book be? So I've been getting a lot more comments on my channel lately from some of you who have watched my How I Sold 500,000 Books self-publishing video, and one of the most common questions that I've been getting asked is, how long are most of your books? So I know this is a common question, and a lot of you are asking that so that you can plan what length you want to write your own books. Well, in my opinion, there are four main things that go into your decision as to how long your book should be. So I'm going to talk about those four things that you should be looking at, and I will also give you some examples from my own career. So as some of you who have been following me for a while already know, I have been self-publishing since 2010. So I'm coming up on my 8-year anniversary of self-publishing my first book. And so I have about 25 novels self-published at this point. And pretty much they range anywhere in length from, I believe my shortest book is about 20,000 words for a novella, all the way up to my longest book, which is around 120,000 words. I do also have some short stories that are maybe between 5,000 and 7,000 words each that are published currently in some anthologies. So really, it goes all over the place when you're talking about average word count. There is no real average word count for any of my books. Just in case you're not familiar with me or my writing, I write kind of across a couple of different genres. I write young adult and new adult, which is college age fiction, in both contemporary. I have one contemporary romance kind of small town series that's new adult, and then I have young adult, paranormal, and witches, demons, really contemporary fantasy coming of age stories that go anywhere from young adult to new adult. I don't have any like purely adult fiction out at the moment, but that should give you a decent idea of what I write. And like I said, I don't necessarily have an average word count. When I first self-published in 2010, my very first book was about 46 to 47,000 words. Thought that it was going to be a trilogy at first, and so I planned it to be just 3 books, and they were each going to be somewhere around the 50,000 word mark, and ended up that I'm currently 8 years later writing book 10, and my most recent book in that series is about 100,000 words. And over the course of time, each book has gotten just a little bit longer, which kind of brings me to point number 1 that you need to consider. And this to me is the most important thing that you should consider when you're trying to decide what word count you should aim for with your novel, which is staying true to the story and writing the most quality book that you can. So pretty much with everything that I talk about on this channel, it's always most important that you stay true to the story and that you write the most quality book that you can possibly write. Quality is going to be almost always the number one most important thing. It is extremely important to write the books that you most want to write, the books that are in your heart, the books that you are aching to tell. And of course, there are going to be some other factors that will go into your decision of how long your book should be. But number one thing to always consider is, how long does this story need to be for me to tell the story the way it should be, or for me to do the story justice? The number one tip for sure is you have to listen to your gut and your intuition and your own training when it comes to how long the book needs to be, because only you can tell how much your story needs in terms of subplot and the in-depth character exploration and, you know, all of the different details in your story. Now, I understand that this can get tricky if you're a newer writer and you just don't have enough experience to tell how long it needs to be. And that was the case for me when I first started out. So sometimes it's just going to take trial and error for you to kind of set a target for what you think and then write according to the best of your ability and see where you end up. But number one is, I think that instead of getting so hung up on how long your word count needs to be, focus on how much does this story need? How many words does this story need for me to tell it in the very best way possible? The number 2 factor that I recommend you take into consideration when you're thinking about how many words your book should have is your genre. So like I said, I started out writing young adult fiction, and that is currently what I'm still writing. And you'll find on the shelves of Barnes & Noble, for example, young adult fiction that runs the gamut. You'll find some that's 40,000 words, and you'll find some that are 150, 200,000 words. I think some of S.J. Moss's most recent books go well into the 100+ thousands. So you will find kind of a broad range of the number of word count. But sometimes when you go into another section of the store, like say epic fantasy, you're going to see a little bit more of uniform word counts, which is going to be, sadly, very long word counts in epic fantasy. Usually you've got multiple POVs, you've got, like the name would suggest, epic stories. So we're looking at 200,000-300,000 word stories sometimes. When it comes more to Harlequin romances, for example, you may find more along the lines of 40 to 60,000 words. In the traditional publishing industry, you definitely see editors and agents looking for specific word counts, not only playing by old rules in the fact that they still have to worry about how long the book can be, their printing costs and that sort of thing, but they are also paying attention to something that we as indie writers need to pay attention to, which is the reader expectations. So over the course of many, many years, readers who have fallen in love with certain niche markets or certain genres will definitely have an expectation when it comes to how long a book is going to be. So the best thing that you can do if you're writing in a particular genre is do a little bit of research. It's as simple as a Google search sometimes to see how long an average book is in the genre that you're currently writing. Usually when you Google it, you're going to find some information about what agents are looking for or what the average is, because lots of writers who have asked this question before. So for standalone romances, you might find something more like 80 to 90,000 words. But when you get into maybe like Harlequin romances or series romances, you're going to be down to maybe 40 to 65, as I said earlier. When it comes to young adult, I think the pretty average standard that they're going to ask for is about 60 to 70,000 words. And then the big New York Times bestsellers, or if you just write a book that needed that many words that your agent feels is special, you can probably go into the 100,000s with young adult. So reader expectations is something to take into consideration. However, with that being said, one of the beautiful things about indie publishing and self-publishing your own work is that there are no rules. Yes, you do have to take into consideration, and you should, reader expectation, because if you're writing epic fantasy and the fans are used to seeing really long sweeping stories, you're going to have to come up with a strategy for how you're going to market those books if you're only writing, say, 50 or 60,000 words per book. You might want to go into it with a clear note on your blurb that says that this how long the book is, or that it will be growing over the course of several books or whatever. But you might want to at least consider that when you're breaking the reader expectation for your genre norm. That being said, it is possible to completely break out from your genre norm. If you typically have these like secret baby Harlequin style romances that are only 50,000 words, if you write one that's amazing, that's 80,000 words, you're not going to have a publisher that's going to say, well, we can't publish this because it's too long, because you are the publisher. And that's really one of the biggest advantages to self-publishing, is that you make those rules. You decide how long the book should be. I don't know that any publisher would have let me have book one of a series be only 45,000 words and book 10 be over 100,000 words, but I don't have to worry about that. And that's one of the things that I love about it. But I do think it's important to stick to those genre expectations as well as you can in order to tell the story the way that it needs to be told. The number 3 thing to consider when you're looking at how long your book should be is advertising. And this is something that a lot of people don't consider. If you've seen my series on how to write a best-selling series, which I'll throw a card up here so you can watch that series of videos if you would like to see it, I talk about the importance of, writing a series as an indie and how that can help you be discovered quicker and to launch your career. But one thing that you need to know is, especially if you plan to use book 1 of your series as a loss leader, meaning that you're going to discount book 1 over and over and over and continue to push fans toward that book 1 as your discovery tool, then you need to be aware of the fact that a lot of advertising sites will not accept a novella or a short story for advertising. A lot of the bigger sites like bookbub.com want you to have a full-length novel. They don't want to advertise or feature a short story or a novella. So definitely something to consider if you're going to use that first book as your big loss leader and your big advertising like reader magnet, because if you can't get ads on that book, you're going to be in big trouble if you just built an entire series hoping that that one book would be the entry, because it's never as good to try to drive readers to book 2 or 3 because you want them to come in. You're hoping to attract new readers and you want them to come in on that first book. So you better make sure that that first book is something that you can advertise everywhere. And that means making sure that that book is at least 40,000 words or more. And finally, the fourth thing that you should consider when you're trying to figure out your target word count is how fast you write. Now, again, let me state very clearly that I always believe that quality and staying true to the story should be the number one thing. But it is just simply a part of indie publishing and trying to make a living at this writer gig that you do need to consider the market and how you're going to market your books, how you're going to sell your books. If you write very slowly and it will take you 2 years to write a 150,000 word book, then you're going to either need to come up with an amazing strategy that allows you to only publish one book every 2 years and pour a lot of money into that book and continue to try to get it marketed. Or you're going to need to potentially write shorter books so that you can get something out faster. And I feel like no matter how many times I say this, someone's probably still going to comment that you should never trump marketing over what you should write. And I 100% believe that. But at the same time, I think that one of the keys to being successful as an indie is managing your career as marketably as you possibly can while staying true to yourself and true to the quality of the stories you want to tell. And if you completely ignore the marketing side and you just don't even think about it, then I promise you're probably going to wake up 5 years from now having put in a lot of time and effort and be very sad that you did not follow through or at least think about a strategy that would help you find success early on. There are a lot of things that you can do and choices that you can make when you're developing your self-publishing strategy that can help you be more successful while also not compromising your joy for writing, your love for writing, and what you truly want to do with your stories. So going back to this point about time and speed is an unfortunate truth of indie publishing right now, as it is in 2018, that the faster you can publish, the better. And I hate that it's that way because I want to spend as much time as possible to make my stories, to actually craft them and make them amazing. But at the same time, it just is the way it is. And I can't change that just by wishing things were different. So I have to keep my eyes open to the fact that the faster you can publish, the better off you are. Now, that being said, I always try to make sure I maintain my quality. So I'm constantly paying attention to how fast can I write the most quality, amazing book that I can possibly write. So I have to give myself that time. And on average, it ends up being 2 to 3 months. Sometimes it takes me 6 months. There's a few occasions where it's taken me nearly a year to write the best quality book that I could write. If you are a slow writer, and by slow, I mean you can only write one book a year or less, then you are probably going to have some challenges when it comes to indie publishing. One strategy that you could try would be to bank books. So write a book this year, hold on to it, have it edited, go through that process while you're writing book 2, hold off on that one, work on book 3 until you have a backlog of books or a backlist of books that have not been published yet that you can publish one after the other in a launch strategy. That would be one potential way that you could counter the fact that you need more time. That allows you to take the time you need to write the quality book of your heart, but you're going to have to be patient because you're not going to be able to write that book immediately and put it out there. Another way to do it would be to go ahead, write the book, publish it, and see what happens. Put as much marketing effort as you can behind it while you're writing book 2. But just being aware of the fact that the faster you can publish, the more likely you are to get pulled up into Amazon and the other vendors' algorithms, then you just go into it knowing that this career is going to take some time to build. And that's just the way it is. That's truthfully the way it is for most of us. Even if you have 3 or 4 books backlogged and you are ready to just publish them very quickly, you may see a spike. But over the course of the long term, for almost any indie, it's going to be work. This is not an easy career. So have patience going into it. But I do urge you to try to come up with the best strategy that you can so that you can find success as quickly as possible. It's probably going to take several years, and that's okay. At least we have these opportunities available to us now that were not available a decade ago. So be grateful for that. Understand the challenges that are coming your way when you decide to indie publish, and come up with the best, strongest strategy that you can so that you can find success as quickly as possible. So when it comes to time and speed, when you're publishing or when you're writing, maybe think about this. If you know you're a slow writer, then instead of aiming for an 80,000 word novel for your first attempt, maybe start with 40 to 45,000 words so that you can get 2 novels written this year. Now, I only say this with extreme caution. It is a great idea to write as fast as possible, to publish as fast as possible, but it's always important to maintain quality, maintain your story's integrity. So if you're going to write a crappy 40,000 word novel or a magnificent, amazing, best you can do 80,000 word novel, always choose the 80,000 word novel that's amazing. But if you have the choice between writing an amazing 45,000 word novel and an amazing 80,000 word novel, and you are a slow writer, then maybe consider the 45,000 word novel when you're just getting started and you're starting to build your name so that you can put those books out more quickly. So those are my 4 points. And I do believe that you should really consider those things in order. Number 1 is definitely that you should always stay true to your story, keep the integrity of your story, write the most quality book you can. And sometimes a story just takes as long as it takes. At this point in my career, I kind of have an idea of where I want to end a story. So I'm working on book 10. I kind of have an idea that this one's going to be around 100,000 words, but I am not going to stress out if I end up at 110,000 words. If that's how many words it needed, then I just go with it. But I try to have that kind of target in mind, and then when I get into the writing, I can sort of start to see, like, once I hit that Act 1 doorway, if it's 25,000 words in, then I know I'm kind of on target for that 100,000 word novel. If I'm 30 to 40,000 words in and I'm only still in Act 1, then I know I'm going to have a really, really long novel. And likewise, if I'm only 15,000 words in at the end of Act 1, then this story is going to be pretty much on target to be 60,000 words. And I kind of know that about my writing at this point. So I start out with a target in mind where I think this is going to go. I plot it accordingly because I am a plotter. And if you have not watched my series on how to plot a novel, I would love for you to go check that out as well. But I am a plotter. I kind of know what my target word count is, but I freely adjust it. And I just don't stress if it needs more than it is, or if it ends up being a little bit shorter. Although I seriously don't think I've ever written anything that ended up being shorter than I thought it was going to be. It's almost always longer than I thought it was going to be, and that's fine. Number 2, of course, is genre. Take into consideration, what do readers who read this type of book traditionally expect? Are you going to disappoint them because this is like only half of what they're normally used to in a book? Are you writing a really, really long, cozy mystery compared to what is normal? You don't have to use that as like a hard and fast rule. It's just good to have the knowledge of what readers are expecting. Now, I will just throw in this as an aside, is that because so many indie books are read on ebook, a lot of readers have no idea how long those books are. I have had reviews on some of my books that are 90,000 words that people called novellas just because they read really fast, or I have really fast pacing in some of my books. Readers don't know because they don't have this physical book in their hands. So you do have that kind of going for you, or against you, I guess you could say, in some ways. But I wouldn't like worry so much about, well, it has to be 300,000 words because it's an epic fantasy. I would just keep it in the back of my mind and have that knowledge available that this is what readers are used to. So how am I going to present this in such a way that readers are still happy with the end product? Number 3 is that advertising, and you just need to be aware that if you want to advertise the first book in your series, or any book in your series, it should be at least 40,000 words. And if you're going to write something like, for example, I do have some novellas and short stories that are shorter than 40,000 words. Like I have a couple of novellas that are 20,000 words. I don't market those in the same way. So I went into it knowing that getting a BookBub, for example, was going to be a challenge on such a short book. So I just market those to my fans, like on Facebook ads and that sort of thing, but I don't count on bigger newsletter ads like BookBubs for those types of books. And finally, considering how long it takes you to write a book is something that you might want to consider when it comes to your publishing strategy overall. All right, guys, that is it for this video. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed it. I would love for you to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified the next time a new video goes up from me. I would also love to have you on my newsletter list. You will find a link down below where you can get a variety of goodies from me, including the How to Plot Your Novel workbook. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who joined my 3-day bootcamp Bootcamp. We had an amazing, incredible time this past weekend organizing and getting ready for Q4 of 2018. As you can see from my Kanban board over here, even though it is a few days until October begins, I am ready. I have all of my Q4 tasks up here on the board ready to go. If you are interested in joining the bootcamp, you can sign up for the waiting list, which this class will be offered again, hopefully at the end of the year, sometime in December. So sign up for my waiting list down below. Also, huge announcement, like dream come true for me, is that I have launched my very first Etsy store, and there's literally just one product available, but it is my Q4 HB90 method, Heart Breathing's 90-day method for goal setting and planning for authors. And you've seen me feature this planner that I designed myself on this channel. I'll also be doing an October plan with me this weekend, as well as you can kind of see on the floor, I kind of have a mess over here. I'm going to be doing a haul video showing you all of my binders, A5 binders, and supplies that I've got ready for the last quarter of the year, and also getting ready for 2019 planner. So that planner is up in the Etsy shop. I would super love for you to grab it, check it out. It is on sale for 25% off right now in the Etsy store. It is a printable planner that you can download and print for yourself. It is dated for October through December, so it'll carry you through the last quarter of this year, but it also has detailed pages on how to set your goals, how to set up your Kanban board, and it goes along with a lot of the stuff I've been teaching on this channel. So I would super love for you to check it out. And if you would like to support this channel in any way, that would be a great way to do it. I will have 2019 quarterly planners coming up in the store soon, as well as an undated planner so that you can keep printing it out and just add your own dates to it. Those will be up hopefully in the next couple weeks. All right, guys, I will see you this weekend with my planner haul and talking all about how I'm setting things up for Q4, as well as getting ready for 2019. So I will see you this weekend. All right, don't forget to subscribe. See you in my next video. Bye.